Hi, this is Alan. Today we want to talk about strategic management and focus on our mission, our aim, our objectives, and identifying a little bit about who our stakeholders are. So this is going to be a fairly short recording, but let's see if we can start the process of building a strategic management process. Up to now, you guys have looked at your missions and your objectives, and you've done a really good job of that. So what we want to do now is start to look at the next few steps in this process. The next one is going to be analyzing the business environment and auditing what's going on internally. When we're done with that, we'll start looking at strategic opportunities and how we go about identifying them, comparing them, and selecting the one that's most appropriate. So let's look at this. This is a map of how an idea, a conception of a business takes place. We come up with some idea, some unique thought that helps us understand a need that someone out in the public has. We refine that using our experience. We know what we're doing, and based on that, we can identify what really should happen. Once we understand what's going to happen inside the business, we start to build our competencies. What can we do that other people can't do for themselves? Once we build our competencies, we look at what the competencies satisfy our customers. If so, we can then take advantage of them. So what we want to do is look and see how these competencies we built within the concept of this business exploit external environmental forces. What things about the political environment, the social environment are supportive to our business, and what are frankly getting in the way of our business. Once we take advantage of those environmental forces, we can start to look at coming up with where our profit comes from. Now, if we aren't satisfying our customers, or if we aren't doing it as well as we should, we can then start to look at how do we achieve some kind of competitive advantage. What do we have to do to come up with something that will cause customers to come to our organization for whatever services or products we produce. Either way, we end up yielding our profits. Now, what do we do with our profits? There's three distinct selections. Number one, you can take and pay your stockholders, your stakeholders. This may be your customers, this may be your stockholders, this may be the people who've loaned you money. It may also very well be your employees, your coworkers. And you need to find ways to satisfy at least some of them. And we'll talk at length later on about how you go about satisfying your stakeholders. The second thing you can do is you can provide new opportunities. You can expand the business. You can reduplicate it in a different location, in a different environment, inside a different culture. You can change something about what the business is now satisfying so that it can satisfy more people in different locations. Or you can invest it back in the business and build more competencies. Whenever I think about this, I think about our friends at Amazon. Amazon was not just an online bookstore. It started as an online bookstore. But about the time they got done building that bookstore, they said, well, what's the difference between books and music? Well, not much. So they became an online music store. And then they said, what's the difference between music and books and video? Not much. So we became a store that sold video. And now, after many years, when you go to Amazon, you can buy virtually anything you're interested in. But if you think about it, it's the same business model. They're just doing it with different objects. So what we've done is we've taken our profits and we provided a new opportunity. But the way we had to go about doing it is we invested in new competencies. Now, when you're writing your organizational objectives, one of the things you need to do is make sure they're SMART. SMART means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timely. Specific meaning you're saying exactly what you want done. Measurable means there's some measure to say, yes, this is good enough, or that's not good enough. Achievable, something that we can successfully achieve. realistic, something that fits within the context of the way business is done right now, and timely, meaning we have a date and time established for completing this part of the project. At a certain date, we will be able to do certain things. Now, they have to be consistent with your mission and your aim. You know what your mission is already. We need to make sure that our objectives are consistent and fit within the construct of the mission of the organization. One bit of concern: avoid dissonance. Now, what does dissonance mean? If you have an objective that counteracts another objective, they are in dissonance. They are, in essence, one can't have, or both can't happen at the same time. One counteracts the other. You have to be very careful because dissonance is actually very easy to create. So you have to be very consistent with what you're putting out there. And if you use this SMART acronym, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely, and look at all your different objectives, and there will be many of them, you can probably identify the ones that are going to cause your dissonance. So let's look at some simple examples of objectives. And I will be the first to admit that these are not necessarily well-written objectives, but they're ideas for us to start with. As a company, I want a larger market share. Now, I've got a market share of such percent or so many dollars or whatever unit of measure you want to use. I want a larger market share based on that measurement. I want quicker design to market times than our rivals. In other words, I want to design a product and get it in the hands of customers faster than my competitors can do it. I want higher product quality than my rivals can produce. I have a method of production that's going to produce something that they can't do. I want lower costs relative to key competitors. I want to be able to do the same thing they do and be able to sell it for less money because I don't spend as much building it. I want to build a broader, more attractive product line than my rivals. I have a strong reputation with customers, and it's stronger than what my rivals have. There are more people who think more highly of my company than of all the competitors that I compete with. My company should have superior customer service, and we have to have a way to measure that. And we want recognition as a leader in technology or product innovation, or we want to cover a wider geographic area than our rivals. Any of those become starts towards realistic objectives. Now, there's another class of objectives. They have to do with financials. I want an increased growth in revenues, earnings, or dividends, all ways to measure profitability. I want a wider profit margin. I want a larger profit margin. I want a very attractive ROI, return on investment. Based on how much money I'm given, how long does it take me to make that amount of money back? Attractive ROIs vary from different kinds of businesses, so you have to be really careful with that one. I want strong credit ratings, so I can borrow money at attractive rates. I want positive cash flow, meaning every month, every accounting period, I make money. I want to be recognized as a blue chip company. Blue chip meaning a high-end company, one that is dependable. I want stable earnings during periods of recession. Recessions happen when companies start to lose money. If I heat my earnings up even during periods of recession, I should be in good shape during periods where we aren't in recession, when the economy is growing. I want a more diversified revenue base, meaning I want to make money from different kinds of companies. And frankly, a rising stock price. You see, all of these have to do with financial objectives. No company of any value has only financial or only organizational objectives. You have to have a mixture of both.